absolutely loved watching Toy Story 5, but the movie added so many mysteries and questions that when I left the movie theater, several question marks started bubbling up in my mind. The biggest one of them all involves one of my new favorite characters in the franchise, Blaze. If you watched the movie, you know that at a certain point, Jessie ends up going back to her old house, thanks to an elderly couple who finds the cowgirl and Bullseye on the sidewalk, near the house of Bonnie's friends where the slumber party was going to happen. After several events, the cowgirl finds a photo in a time capsule buried at the base of the tree, where she and her owner used to play years before. This way, she finally discovers that Emily grew up and had a daughter whom she named precisely Jessie. And upon seeing this photo, automatically we can see that Emily's daughter is not Blaze's mother. So the question arises, at the end of the day, where is Jessie, Emily's daughter? And what is more, how did Blaze's family become the owners of the property that belonged to the family of the cowgirl's former owner? I would love to discover all of this in a next Toy Story movie. What about you? But for now, this is the biggest mystery, but not the only one in Toy Story 5. Get ready, because now we are going to blow your mind with several mysteries from this incredible movie. After almost ending Jessie's life, Lilypad and the cowgirl become good friends at the very end of the movie. After all, the two of them only wanted what was best for the girl. And in the wedding scene between Buzz and the cowgirl, we see that a new character ends up being responsible for bringing the couple's wedding rings, the robot vacuum cleaner. In other words, at that moment, he was treated like a toy, just like all the others. The coolest part is that right after, Lilypad asks Jessie to introduce her to the robot vacuum cleaner, while he sort of looks right back at her. After seeing this scene, my mind automatically bugged out, since I started wondering to myself, does he also have a conscience just like all the other toys? Remembering that he had already appeared in other moments of the movie, like when Bonnie got Lilypad, and when the tablet herself activated him to destroy the photo that Buzz and Woody had printed of Jessie and Bullseye. My theory is that he was a simple robot vacuum cleaner, until Bonnie and Blaze treated him like a toy. From that point on, he could very well have started to gain a conscience. I do not know if this idea holds up, but that love is in the air in Toy Story, that is a fact. Without a doubt, for those who have been fans of the story for years, like us, one of the high points of the movie was Jessie's kiss on the original Buzz. And it was exactly at that moment that another mystery emerged. Is it in the programming of all the Buzz action figures to be in love with Jessie? This is because as soon as the army of Space Rangers met the cowgirl, everyone immediately kneeled down to serve her. Not to mention that when they saw her advertisement, automatically the group of Lightyears ran until they arrived at Blaze's family property. The fact is that despite so many different Buzzes, Jessie only has eyes for our good old original Lightyear. Taking advantage of the fact that we are talking about the army of Buzz action figures, another mystery about this new group of toys definitely stayed in the minds of those who watched the movie. Did all of them have a hive mind? This is because, if you stop to analyze it, you will notice that in several moments, they completed each other's sentences. Not to mention that when one of them changed the symbol on his chest, all the others also changed theirs. It is clear that all of them used the same communication network, but that does not necessarily mean that the thought of one of them was automatically the thought of all the others, unless their mind worked more or less like a beehive. Do you not agree? One moment that made this very clear was when they were about to rescue one of their members, who ended up being taken by two children who were going camping with their parents. At that moment, they were completely armed and ready to attack all the human beings in that tent. Really, it seemed like everyone was thinking the exact same thing. That is very strange. Actually, I even keep wondering what they were going to do if the other action figure did not give a sign that everything was okay. Poor kids. Let us now talk about another mystery that also involves another group of toys that appears in the movie, but which is not the army of Buzz action figures. We are talking about the group of tablets that appear in the story. This is because all of Bonnie's dance class friends each own one tablet, similar to Lilypad. If we consider that, just like the green tablet, each one of them has a life of its own and also thinks individually, we can deduce that on the slumber party night that Bonnie went to, they and Lilypad could very well have met and talked among themselves. However, when they return home, both Bonnie and Lilypad avoid talking about anything from that night. This could mean that, just like the girls treated Bonnie poorly, it could be that the three tablets might have treated Lilypad with disdain too. This could, in fact, be a scene that might end up being shown in Toy Story 6. I am crossing my fingers right here, in the meantime. Now, if you made it this far, surely something in this video kept you hooked until now, so we certainly deserve your subscription. Something that created a major doubt in the heads of the most attentive Toy Story fans after watching the fifth movie is exactly the issue involving toys and their batteries. This is because we see that when Woody and Buzz unplug Lilypad's charger from the outlet, the tablet simply stops working. In the same way, Smarty Pants, Atlas, and Snappy stayed in a drawer for years without working, just because they were out of battery, or working in a strange way, like in the case of Smarty Pants because the batteries were weak. In other words, they practically stop having a conscience while they are not being charged or having their batteries replaced. However, in the case of all the other designs, like the ones that are made of cloth, like Woody and Jessie, or of plastic and rubber, like Rex and Ham, they possess a conscience practically all the time, since they do not need batteries. This generates the question, into which of these groups does Buzz fit? Because when we go back to Toy Story 3, we see that the Space Ranger also has batteries, but we never saw him out of charge, which implies that he moves even without his batteries, just transitioning to no longer shooting lasers or saying his recorded catchphrases. Taking this hook about whether the toys are turned on or not, another huge mystery arises at this moment. Do the toys sleep at any point? And about this, based on what we talked about in the previous topic, we can say that we have a partial answer. This is because we see that Lilypad appears to be sleeping when Bonnie puts her on the charger, after she spent the night without a charge and had shut down. However, what about all the other toys? Do they also sleep at night? Or do they just stay very quiet in a corner so they do not make any noise? We saw that Jessie and the other toys belonging to Blaze spent the entire night awake playing the little game of catching the poop on Smarty Pants. The doubt that remains is whether they did this because they did not want to sleep or because they simply cannot. Put it down here in the comments what you think, so we can know. If you watched the complete movie, you will remember that everything starts with a Buzz action figure self-activating on a beach being surrounded by sand, and several little boxes of Buzz action figures scattered around. Afterward, we can see that this first Buzz activates all the other action figures that were in a shipping container that was open and stranded on the beach. The group of Space Rangers explores the location and arrives at the other side, discovering that that is an island. So far so good. The great doubt that remains after we see all of this, and that the movie makes absolutely no effort to explain, is, at the end of the day, how did that shipping container fall off a ship and nobody noticed? Or furthermore, where were those Buzz action figures being taken to? Or where were they coming from? Could it be that it was from China? Anyway, this whole scene brings with it several mysteries that we will probably never have the answer to, leaving us with the only alternative of just imagining and creating theories. Like, for example, the one that they were going exactly to Al's toy barn, the villain from Toy Story 2, or who knows, going to Japan to become part of the extensive toy collection of the same Japanese man who was going to buy Woody, Jessie, and Bullseye in the second movie. Certainly, this is, and will be for a good amount of time, a huge mystery. After having a collective lapse of sadness, the army of Buzz action figures simply decides to answer the call of Star Command, and together they build a raft that actually ends up taking the group to the city of Tri-County, where all the events of the Toy Story franchise take place. And in a very coherent manner, we see that they end up going to a pier full of shipping containers. And there, they discover that whenever a human looks directly at them, or just gets close to the toys, they automatically become completely motionless, just like regular toys. The question is, at the end of the day, how did they know about this? Could there be some mental mechanism in all toys that whenever a human is nearby, they become completely lifeless, inanimate objects? If this were true, Woody would never have been able to give that scare that traumatized Sid way back in the first movie, since the sheriff spoke directly to the boy that all the toys were keeping an eye on the boy and on all his evil deeds. Now, to finish off our list of mysteries, we have to talk about the one that, to everyone's surprise, has now become one of the most mysterious characters in the entire Toy Story franchise: our beloved horse, Bullseye. The first mysterious thing involving the character happens right at the beginning of the movie, when Jessie and her loyal companion go over to the house of Bonnie's neighbors to try to understand why the twins did not want to play with the girl. At that moment, she finds out about technology, and one of the toys suggests that she climb up to the roof to see how many houses had technological toys being used. And guess who is right beside her? Exactly, Bullseye. But how did he manage to climb all the way up there with his cloth hooves? And if you observe closely, in the scene where the cowgirl climbs up the tree to see how Bonnie and her friends were doing, you will see that the poor toy horse looks at his hooves and makes a face of, "My God, how am I going to climb up?" Another mystery that surrounds the small cloth horse is his voice. Until today, we had never seen Bullseye say a single word. However, during Blaze's playtime, we see that not only does he speak, but he is also the villain of the story. And upon hearing the horse speak at that exact moment, a doubt arises. Is that the character's real voice? Could it be that he never wanted to speak of his own free will? Or was that just a voice inside Blaze's head who imagined what it would be like if he actually spoke? Anyway, there are a lot of questions, and, at least for now, very few answers. Our list is over, but you don't have to leave. We've set aside 2 videos right here on the side for you to keep having fun. Pick one, and let's go to the next one.